Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'd like to take this opportunity to say thank you to all of those who have subscribed. Your help is greatly appreciated. At this time I'd like to tell you that there's house construction directly behind me, and there's a boom truck at the end of the street hooking up power to the home that they've just been building down there. Construction noise is something that we're just going to have to do something about. It's just the way it is. My last video was about my 10-ton RUNVA winch, and in that video I told you that putting that 10-ton winch up on this board was a chore. Today I'm going to tell you about something else. I'm going to tell you about a winch I can lift with one hand. This is an ATV winch. It's a 4,000 pound winch. This winch does not replace the RUNVA. This is a supplemental winch to the RUNVA. You don't have to be on a track someplace. You don't have to be out bouncing dunes in a desert. You don't have to be driving along a beach someplace to come along a spot where a tree has fallen down across the road after a storm. You've got a tree on your track. You have a vehicle that's slid off the side of the road and is basically stuck because it can't get any traction. There's 50 feet of 5/16 aircraft cable here. This winch is about $120 Canadian. This will serve a multitude of purposes where my big RUNVA is the equivalent of trying to kill a fly with an M1A1 Abrams tank. Why am I going to pull out a 10-ton winch to pull out a 1,500 pound car that only has to go that far because it can't get any traction? Prudhomme Bay, Alaska. Eva Zembeck was up there. She's driving the Alaska Highway as I record this. The people ahead of her hit some black ice, slid off the road, down a slight embankment like this. They didn't go very far. Their wheels were just off the pavement. The front wheels weren't even in the water at the bottom of it. The incline is about 10 feet. Vehicle couldn't go anywhere. The grass was wet. The wheels were doing this. So she had to drag out her great big heavy winch to pull the car back less than the distance of this table. She only had to go back about 3 feet, not even that, to get the rear wheels back on the pavement. That's where this comes in handy. Little jobs. If you're driving along the road and there's been a storm and a tree has come down, you can pull it with this. This takes 80 amps out of your batteries. My big RUNVA pulls just under 500. This is a lot easier on your battery, right? If you don't need it, run a small wrench. These aren't all that much money. And if you burn up a motor, rip up a cable, it's a lot cheaper to replace this than it is the cable on the spool on my RUNVA. And that's where I'm coming from with this video. This winch has 3 purposes it's going to serve. Actually 4. I will tell you about 3. The second thing that I can do with this is I'll have a receiver on both ends of my vehicle. One obviously for this at the front, and the other is the back. I can use this winch as an anchor line. If I start pulling a vehicle that's stuck and what's happening is the vehicle's not coming out, I'm being dragged towards it as I'm spooling my RUNVA in, I can run this cable out, hook onto a different tree, hook onto another vehicle, and I can use that vehicle for weight. Without a secondary winch, I couldn't do that. There are many things that I am not good at in this world. Art happens to be one of them. So if you want to make fun of me for my little drawing that I'm going to show you next, have at it. You're not going to hurt my feelings. what I've done is I've taken my whiteboard here, and my truck design is based off Ambition Strikes. The difference between what I've done and what they've done, this is the back wall of their camper. Their camper slams up against here and they have a pass-through. They took out the rear window of the truck and they have a way of going from the sleeping quarters into the cab without going outside. I have done away with that. This whole area of my truck, from the top of the roof to the bottom and back 36 inches or 3 feet or just under a meter to those that use metric, this is where my tanks go. All of this area will hold my fuel, my water, my electrical, my big gen set, the hydraulic controls for my hydraulic cylinders. Is how I get my camper on and off the vehicle. We'll go into that in another video I'll be making sometime way off in the future. And the other thing that it's going to do is I direct your attention to the lower left hand corner. You're going to find a little red scribbly drawing of a car top carrier. You've seen these on lots of cars. The area that's got the red hash marks is where that container goes. Instead of facing north-south, it faces east-west. The box that it's sitting on is 7 feet long, 5 feet high, and 2 feet wide. That box is designed in two parts. From the passenger side of the vehicle, coming towards the drivers for the first 5 feet, is a storage area where my air compressor goes and where my car topper sits. Basically, that is a self-contained box within a box, shall we say. The last 2 feet closest to this side of the vehicle holds my ladder way so I can get up to the roof and service my solar panels. As you know, I travel with a dog. Dogs kind of like to eat. And a 14 kilo bag of dog food runs around 30 pounds, takes up a lot of room, and when you've only got 8 feet, you need some place to store it. Well, I don't want to store it out in the box. I've got this thing, put it up there. Well, instead of carrying all of that weight over my shoulder, I did enough of that in mine, packing explosives around in my tool bags, thank you very much. I'm going to make a jib crane. My jib crane is going to be removable. My winch will run the rope up through a series of pulleys down to a basket. I open up the lid on my car topper, haul all the food up in its basket, transfer everything over, close the lid, tighten up the latches. I'm going to be using ratchet straps to keep the lid down. Everything's safe and secure. Bob's your uncle. Pryya's got a couple of months worth of food. I take my jib apart and I store it in that second part where my ladder assembly is. That's where that'll live. As I just got finished stating, on the back of my vehicle, I'm going to have a receiver hitch. I need that receiver hitch for Pryya's table, for brushing her out and giving her a bath. That table will be up level with the back bumper. I can use that as an anchor point for my winch, for hooking onto another vehicle for dead weight. So those are the three things that I'm going to be using this for. A secondary winch, so I'm not killing my big RUNVA. The saying in English goes, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If I don't have to run a 5,000 amp winch to do what I can do with an 80 amp winch, these little guys work wonders. They're not much money, and you're not beating the hell out of your main winch. This is like an insurance policy for its big brother. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for subscribing. Once I get out on the road, I'll put up my Patreon page. And there goes an F-18. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.